Today we're going to talk about something that a lot of quilters have questions about, and that's thread, because there are so many different threads on the market. And which ones do you use with your projects? Which ones do you use for quilting? Which ones do you use for making curtains, etc.? So we're kind of focus on the quilting aspect of that today and start out with some of our favorite picks. So Hannah?
My personal favorite would be Aurifil, and I tend to buy it in the cone. I use this color, Dove. It's my favorite. It's number 2600. And I buy it in the cone because it's a little cheaper. It is more on the expensive side for thread just in general, but buying it in the cone can save you a few dollars. And if you're like me and you really just use one color, this is the way to go. You don't end up with 6 or 7 spools of a neutral color. I just have my one option and it's just right there ready to go. So.
And Aurifil is a 50 weight, 100% cotton thread, and it uses long cotton fibers, so it adds some stability to your thread, making it a little bit stronger. It is less linty because there are less joins in there, and it has just become a favorite of ours. Now, a lot of machines don't really care what thread you use, but if you do have a picky machine, Aurifil is one that I have found that it's user-friendly in most machines, so I haven't heard of somebody having issues with it. So that's why we carry it. We carry it in several different colors, and if you're wondering about what color do I use for piecing, if you look at our thread rack here, we have the top 2 tiers here are the whites all the way to the black. White, that creamy color, into taupe, into kind of a beige, and then you get into the grays. And so my rule of thumb is that white goes with white, black goes with black, and anything else goes with anything else. So ideally your stitches are going to be not showing on your quilt, so it should be hidden per se, but if you are really concerned about the color of thread that you're using for piecing, of course you can always use something that matches. So we do have Aurifil in 2 different sizes as well as the cone. We have it in this size, and I don't know how many meters are on here. 1300 meters, okay? And we also have it in a smaller spool, but it's all the same thing, 50 weight. And in thread, the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. So if you think Aurifil is 50 weight, so that's nice for piecing. If you think of silk thread, it's 100 weight, so it's very, very fine, and that's why people use that for hand turn, needle applique, and those types of work in the quilting world.
We also carry another brand that we really like. I tend to gravitate towards Quilter Select when I want that funky color, but not a lot of it. So when I want to use it for binding, I tend to use some funky colored cottons for binding. So I like the Quilter Select. That's a 60 weight cotton wrapped poly. So it's a good kind of hybrid thread when you want the strength of polyester but the feel of cotton. But you were telling me that you have to be careful with polyester thread just in general because of heat.
Yeah, so you don't want to go crazy with heat when you're using polyester, although today's polyester threads are a lot different than years ago. That goes to say about any thread. We encourage you to have fresh thread. Don't use those hand-me-downs from your grandmother's sewing cabinet that have been around since the 1940s. Thread does get brittle over time, and a lot of times those older dye lots in the thread from the 30s, 40s that you might be using from grandma's stash, it may have a tendency to run. The dye may bleed, and I had a friend actually have red run onto a white background because she used old red thread, not even thinking it was going to match, but then in the washing process this ugly kind of red hue came about, and so she had a really tough time getting it out too. So rule of thumb, if it's old or you don't know the age of it, I would err on the side of replacing it and starting fresh.
Start with Aurifil or Quilter Select. That's what we're going to tell you. And how many hundreds did you just put into that project? You should put good quality thread in your good quality projects so they last longer. They hold up better washing, drying, picnics, being dragged around by kids. You want it to be strong. You want it to last. Don't put cheap thread in your quilts. Use the good quality stuff for your things that are end up family heirlooms.
So just like the fabric here we have at the shop, it's a higher quality higher quality fabric than what you can get at some other the big box stores. So that's why a lot of times you don't see Aurifil and Quilter Select and those other types of thread being sold at those larger box stores. You do need to go to your local quilt shop, and we can set you up. If we don't have a color you need, we'd be happy to order that for you.
Sure can. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Give us a call at the store anytime. We'd be happy to talk thread. It's a hot topic around here. So thank you.